Good evening and welcome to Swag Her Magazine segment, The In Between. I'm your girl, Lachey, the face, young, and tonight I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people are feeling but don't know how to explain. What if you're not burnt out? What if you're just unfulfilled? Because those are two completely different things. Burnout says, I'm exhausted, I need rest. But unfulfillment says something about my life no longer connects to who I am. And I think a lot of people have become so good at surviving that they don't even realize they've emotionally disconnected from the life they built. You're functioning, you're handling responsibilities, you're paying bills, you're showing up, you're doing what needs to be done. But deep down, you feel uninspired, disconnected, emotionally absent in your own life. We see this happen a lot in women, mainly. It happens all across all genders. But you see it a lot in mothers. You see it a lot in wives. You see it a lot in the superwoman of the family. And what makes this even harder is from the outside, your life may look perfectly fine. People may even call you successful, but internally, you feel like something is missing. And tonight, I think we need to have an honest conversation about that because many people have normalized emotional emptiness simply because they're still functioning. And functioning is not the same thing as fulfillment. I think, especially as Black women, we are praised for survival. We know how to endure, we had to endure. We know how to push through because we had to push through. We know how to carry things because we've had to carry things. We know how to keep going because we had no choice but to keep going. But many of us were never taught to stop and ask ourselves, am I actually happy? Not productive, not useful, not needed, not surviving. Just simply happy, joyful. And that is a difficult question because some people built an entire life around survival mode. Some people picked careers because they needed stability, not because they loved it. A lot of us was taught that you graduate from high school and you go get a job. No one really talk. I ain't gonna say no one. A lot of households did not talk about going to actually find your passion, the thing that makes you feel like it's not work, the thing that causes you to smile even on the days that it's tough, the thing that is not just about the pay, but it's what's inside you to do. We were told to go get a job. And if you had kids, then you were definitely told to go get a job to support your family. And that is thing, a hard thing to actually walk with is being unhappy or unfulfilled at a job just because it gives you stability. Some people became versions of themselves that made everybody else comfortable. Some people stayed in relationships because they were familiar, not because they were fulfilled. And while quietly abandoning themselves in the process. And eventually, you wake up one day and realize I survived everything, but I don't recognize myself anymore. I had a sister ask a question on Facebook. I think it was last week. What was the one thing that made you decide to put yourself first? Because that is a part of fulfilling and getting the fulfillment that you need. And my question was, I didn't want to wake up one day and realized that I pushed everyone else to success. I supported everyone else to get to success and never ever took the time to put me first and find what fulfills me. I didn't want to wake up one day and just be a mother, just be a wife, just be the supportive sister or friend. I needed to be who I desired to be, which takes work and took work to actually sit down to even figure out who I am. And if you're listening to this or tuned in and you don't know who you are, I have several questions I could easily send you that you can sit with so that you will be able to better define who you are, which will also help you find your fulfillment in life. And I really want people to sit with this tonight. You can be grateful for your life and still know something about it no longer fits you. It doesn't make you selfish, it doesn't make you ungrateful, it makes you honest. Because sometimes the hardest thing to admit is the life I prayed for no longer feels aligned with who I'm becoming. And people stay stuck there for years. Not because they don't want more, but because honesty changes things. Once you admit this is no longer fulfills me, you can't unhear it. And that becomes scary because now you have to ask bigger questions. Questions such as, who am I outside of survival mode? Who am I outside of being a mom? Who am I outside of being the go-to person? Who am I when no one else needs me? What actually brings you joy? What parts of my life feel heavy instead of meaningful? Am I living intentionally or just functioning? When was the last time I truly felt alive? What am I holding on to just because I worked hard for it? You know, it's people that will hold on to jobs and homes and cars because they feel like they put so much into getting it. And those things are draining them and causing them to be stressed and depressed. Is that you? Last question. Am I emotionally connected to my life or just responsible for it? And let's talk about something people avoid. A lot of people confuse comfort with fulfillment. Just because something is familiar doesn't mean it fulfills you. Sometimes people stay in draining relationships, exhausting routines, dead end jobs, one sided friendships because familiarity, feels safer than change, even if they're miserable. And I think many people fear starting over emotionally, not necessarily physically, but emotionally. Now, I can honestly say when I had to start over in life, it was the physical because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what steps to take. I didn't know where to even begin to even find steps to take to put me in the place that I needed to be in. But one day I got tired of just being and I just started moving my feet. At first, I went and sat at Ocean City on these big rocks they have in Ocean City, Maryland. And twice I went there and made the best decisions of my life there. Um, and just sat still and I just talked and listened, not to anybody. I just sat on those rocks and I talked and I listened. And I was able to figure out what I needed to do and what direction I needed to go. And like I said, it definitely was not easy, but for me, it was more so the physically starting over, not so much the emotional. I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn or what, but my emotions ain't lined up like that. It's the physical for me. I feel like emotionally I can handle a lot more than I can physically. Because growth requires honesty, and honesty forces change. Now, I want to give you some real life examples. You could be successful and emotionally empty, married and lonely, busy and unfulfilled, needed and unseen, productive and disconnected, surrounded by people and still feel alone. I remember a lady told me when I was in my 20s that she had a dream about me, and I was in this room where it was a whole bunch of people, and regardless of how many people was around, I still looked alone and I still felt alone. That carried with me. That's still something I still work on daily, daily. That I have to talk to that thing, right? Um, and really sit with it to figure out where does that come from. That no matter where I am, no matter what, no matter how crowded the room is, I can still feel alone. And many people don't realize they're unfulfilled until life gets quiet. Because busyness distracts you, but stillness exposes things. And that's why some people stay constantly busy, because slowing down forces them to hear themselves. I just had a conversation not too long ago, literally a few minutes ago, with some amazing women, Misty Rain and Christian Nicole, and they have a new podcast that is called Spades and Spiritual Podcast, Spades and Spirits Podcast. And something they kept on saying, which is so funny that it's coming up now too, is sitting, just being still. That was such a hard thing for me to sit still, because when you do slow down, you are forced to sit with things. You are forced to examine things. You are forced to dig at those roots and pull them things up and handle it so that you don't have to redo it over and over again. Because I do believe whatever you don't take the time and learn the lesson from or put in the work for, I feel like it repeats itself until you take the time to actually listen and actually sit. It is so many things that I repeated over and over and over again in my life that to last 2 years now, me actually sitting with the therapist I had then, having to sit in moments and having to actually pull up the roots and deal with things or say certain things, and I didn't need someone to come and tell me, what I was wrong, because I would sit with it. If I didn't understand a feeling or emotion that I had, I would literally sit with it until it made sense. I would sit with it until I had some type of peace with it. And I'm telling you, you will not realize how unfulfilled you are until things are quiet and you are forced to deal with it. Hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. And I need people to understand this tonight. Fulfillment is not just about happiness, it's about alignment. It's waking up and feeling emotionally connected to your life. It is peace, it is purpose, it is joy, it is meaning, it is connection, not perfection. And no, fulfillment does not mean every day feels amazing. That is not what I'm saying. But it does mean your life reflects who you truly are becoming. So, how do you move towards the fulfilled life? Not a perfect life, but a fulfilled one. Step one, you have to be honest about what no longer fits you. Stop lying to yourself about what drains you. Ask yourself, what feels heavy at all times? What only survives because I keep forcing it? What version of myself have I outgrown? I found out recently that I am not in the era. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't do it at all, but I am not in the mindset where I want to sit around and talk about what other people are going through. One, because I can easily go through it. Two, I've been through it. And three, life is too delicious right now for me to be sitting down and worrying about what someone else is doing or not doing. If it is not affecting me and my household, I don't have time for it. I don't even want to hear it. I will literally go mute. Um, and that is something that I had to sit with because I would get upset about it, and then I had to sit with it and be like, "Why am I upset?" Because I'm outgrown that area. I don't, I don't find pleasure in someone else's pain or sorrow. I don't. You might get a kiki from me, maybe, but that's really all I really have because I just don't. I don't want my life to flip upside down because I am giving humor to someone else's sadness. What have you outgrown? That's a good question for you to think about. Honesty is uncomfortable, but clarity changes everything. Step two, stop measuring your life only by productivity. You are more than what you accomplish. Your worth is not tied to how useful you are. Please hear me. Let me say it again. Your worth is not tied to how useful you are. Some people have full schedules and empty spirits. Step three, connect with what makes you feel alive. I want you to ask yourself, what brings me peace? What makes me feel connected to yourself? What did I love before survival mode took over? And some of us, we may have to really sit with that because we may only remember being in survival mode. We may not even remember any other mode outside of survival. Sometimes fulfillment starts by returning to yourself. Step four, allow yourself to evolve. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to want different things. You are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. Growth is not betrayal, and don't let anybody make you think it is. Step five, create a life that feels good internally, not just look good externally. I absolutely hate seeing people post on social media and you know them personally and you know they're now I get you don't need everybody don't need to know your business, but what's the point of looking like money when you don't have none? Same thing. You want to create a life that matches each other. You want to create a space that is giving you the fulfillment that you need, that you're not walking away and all your beautiful labels and all your bust downs and amazing cars and amazing homes. But then in your quiet moments, you feel so alone, so depressed. That is the reason I keep having these type of conversations because my mission and I advocate for people to actually be able to be who they intentionally were supposed to be, who they were designed to be, and you are the captain of your life. You can be whatever and whoever you want to be. Just make sure that you're fulfilled in it and you're doing it for you and not anyone else. Back to step five, creating a life that feels good internally, not just looks good externally. Because social media can make people perform happiness. But fulfillment, as I said, is private. It's how your life feels when nobody is watching you. And I want to leave you, everybody that is watching this tonight or will watch it in the future. You do not have to spend your entire life surviving. You deserve joy too. You deserve peace. You deserve purpose and you deserve alignment. And maybe the next chapter of your life is not about surviving harder. Maybe it's finally about living fully. This is the in between. And tonight, I want you to sit with this last question. Am I truly fulfilled or have I just become comfortable surviving? If you found anything that I said tonight and you may need assistance with actually finding who you are, what you truly desire, what fulfillment actually may look like for you, feel free to inbox me. I will send you questions that will make you sit with yourself and you will have to take the moment to just be, to be able to get what you actually need in life. And they're not easy questions because you're going to have to sit with yourself. And I know that is such a hard thing with a lot of us because a lot of us aren't even taught that therapy is okay, or manifesting is meditation. I'm sorry, that meditation is okay. It's another form of praying. It's not as hard as people think or make it to be, but you could just need a moment of mindfulness. And I realized with me sitting with myself and sitting with certain questions that were not comfortable, being mindful of the moment. Um, I'm very, very mindful of a lot of things now that I once wasn't. Even if it's just sitting with my kids, or um, putting my phone away, or going to the movies and actually being in that moment where I'm turning my phone completely off. Dinner, turning my phone completely to do not disturb. These are still moments that you get to pour into yourself, even if you are with someone else for dinner. It's still a moment just to take away for yourself and sit with yourself and be yourself. Like I said, if you need questions that will help you to dive into who you are, inbox me. I ain't gonna go and tell nobody that we sharing questions or nothing like that. That's not how I get down. My mission in all of this and having the in between is actually helping people to get out of it. It's actually helping people to be intentional, to actually help people to walk into the purpose that they want for their life. Because a lot of us are walking in the journey and the footsteps of others and the expectations of others. And that's not fulfillment at all. There's no way you are completely at peace walking in the footsteps of what someone told you had to do, or you should do, or putting expectations on you that you didn't even ask for. So if you are that person and you're watching tonight and you need those questions, or to be able to start the journey in your intentions, feel free to inbox me. And I will see you guys next Thursday on The In Between live, because I'm back live. I don't have to pre record. Um, and be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Even if you start this journey and life start life in and you forget, it's okay to go back and pick up where you left off. It is not a race. It is not who get there first. This is your journey. This is your walk. It is your purpose. It is your fulfillment. So start over as many times as you need to. I am the queen of starting over. Let me tell you, okay? I am the queen of starting over, and I have no problem doing so. But now I do it with intentions of a new goal, and that is not having to repeat old patterns or old things or old expectations. So again, see you guys next Thursday. If you need the questions, my inbox is open. Feel free. It will be confidential. That is my word. And yeah, make sure you love yourself. I absolutely love you guys. But make sure that you are taking the time out to actually love yourself. Because if you don't, who else gonna do it? Who else gonna do it? So love yourself. Be kind to yourself. And remember, see you guys next Thursday. Because we're gonna get up out of this in between.